Okay, hi guys. For today, we're going to talk about pedigree. So, a pedigree, you've probably heard about with dogs, but anything that has a lineage, so all living things have a pedigree. It's a family history of genetic conditions. So, let's talk about it. So, a pedigree chart is a record of the family of one individual. Now, it's used to study how things move from parent to child, but from like parent and grandparent and great grandparent and so on and so forth. It's good when you know a lot of your information, like 23andMe can help you out with this. Now, we use a lot of symbols in pedigrees. So, a square is for a male and a circle is for a female. Okay. If the square is linked, that linkage means that there is a marriage, right? So a normal male is a empty square. A filled in square is an affected, meaning whatever condition you're talking about, hemophilia, color blindness, whatever it is, that male is affected by it. They have that trait. A normal female is going to be clear. Affected female will be colored in. So this man and this woman married and had 5 children. 2 girls, 3 boys. None of the parents have this condition, but this one child does. So 1 boy out of 5 has whatever condition we're talking about. So when we do these, we also use Roman numerals. So this is our first generation, generation 1, then generation 2, then generation 3, then generation 4. This shows a man and a woman are married. They have 5 kids, 2 girls, 3 boys. This first girl got married and had 3 kids, and one of that kid got married, but they don't have any kids. The youngest son got married with the woman. They had a son. That son got married. They had 5 kids. The 1, 2, 3 colored squares you see are individuals that have whatever we're talking about, whatever trait. Okay? I know this is kind of confusing. Just stick with me best you can. So if 2 affected individuals have an unaffected child, then it's probably dominant. So an allele for like rolling your tongue is dominant, capital R, and not rolling it is recessive with this little r. So let's say we're talking about tongue rolling. It's not always like scary genetic conditions. So we have a man and a woman who are married. She cannot roll her tongue. He can. They have 1, 2, 3 kids, because this one's not attached, it's not theirs. They have 3 kids. The girl cannot roll her tongue, but the 2 boys can roll their tongue. This first child marries a man who can roll his tongue, and they have 2 kids, one that can roll their tongue and one that cannot. The second child is married to a tongue roller. That sounds weird. But neither of them have kids. The last child is married to a tongue roller. Both of them can roll their tongue. They have 2 kids, one who can roll their tongue and one who can't. So not always looking at scary genetic conditions, but these conditions passed parent to kid, and we're just trying to track where they go, right? So if we look at our genotypes, the recessive condition is not being able to roll your tongue. So we can see that this mom is recessive, this dad is dominant. We can say that, okay, this kid must be recessive, meaning he has to carry the trait too. And they have recessive kids. We can find who's recessive in this. So all non-rollers have to be little r, little r. And that's how we can figure out. But in order to get a kid who's little r, we need a r from either parent. And this is where we could totally do a Punnett square, right? So if we have a parent, we have a parent, and this is just regular dominant recessive, not sex-linked craziness. If one parent is little r, and we need to have a kid who is little r, we can estimate that this parent has to be heterozygous. They have to have 1 of each because they need to give 2 little r's to that kid so that that kid can roll their tongue. I can't roll my tongue. I've always wanted to. So we can guesstimate these genotypes. Now this takes some practice. It really does. And I know I'm going through it quickly because I just want to give you an overview. but you can keep looking at it. We had to guess. In order for these kids to be non-tongue rollers, they have to get that trait from their parent. So this parent has to be heterozygous, meaning they have one of each. If we look at being albino, let's say it's a recessive trait. We have one parent who's albino, one parent who's not. This is the symbol for male and female, but also just squares are male and circles are female. They have 1, 2, 3 kids. None of their kids are albino. Their kids marry people who are also not albino. But all of a sudden, in the 4th generation, we have kids who are albino. Well, that means it has to be passed and that these other parents must also carry the trait. So what you're going to work on today is this. So this first part shows you, okay, you have a man, square, and a woman, circle. Being filled in means you have Huntington's. A man with Huntington's marries a woman who does not have Huntington's. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. 3 of their kids have Huntington's. This kid marries and has a kid with Huntington's. This kid marries, has a kid. No kids have Huntington's. They have 2 kids, sorry. So it says like, okay, which members of the family are afflicted with Huntington's? If we look in generation 1, we have person 1. So the way we would write that is like Roman numeral 1, 1. In generation 2, person 2, 3, and 7 have it. And in generation 3, person 3 has it. Makes sense? There are no carriers for Huntington's. Either you have it or you don't. So is it dominant or recessive? Well, in that case, it would be recessive. How many children did individuals have? This you can all figure out, like for 1st generation person 1 and 1st generation person 2, how many kids did they have? That stuff you can all kind of figure out. Hitchhiker's thumb. So 2 parents without hitchhiker's thumb have kids. It's not shown in the parents, but it pops up later. That means it is recessive. If it's not in the parents but can show up in the kids, it's recessive. If it's in the parents and shows up in the kids, it is more dominant. Okay. So answer some questions about these particular people. One thing you'll notice is this double line here. Look at who their parents are, and you'll kind of understand why this is a problem. Not saying what state they might be from, but question mark. Take a look at that. And then the last one shows color blindness. It's saying half shaded means they are carriers of the disease. That means they're hetero, right? Because they carry the disease, but they do not express it themselves. And you'll answer questions. I should have probably started on this first page. Sorry. This has more stuff about it. So this pedigree down here, right? It'll start, this is easier. I'll put a note to start on this page. I'm sorry. So it's going to ask you to identify the genotypes of this parent, right? Following the pedigree above. So you have person 1 has it, and then generation 3, person 3 and 4 have it. Genotypes are the letters. So are they 2 capitals, capital, lowercase? Give it your best go. And you want to try to look at this. The last thing you're going to try to do is sketch out your own pedigree. Okay. So do your best. At the end of class, you will have access to the answer key. So do your best. Try to figure out this pedigree situation. And then, yeah, turn it in. Do your best. Thank you, guys. Sorry, but do your best to try and keep any questions. If you have any questions, we will go over pedigrees again later. So don't feel like this is the last time you're going to see it. So thank you and have a good rest of your day.